Once I got my coaching business to $50,000 a month from one-on-one coaching, I want to tell you, it nearly broke me. I was exhausted. I couldn't take a vacation. And the business that I used to felt like was freedom had a ceiling. And the problem with the ceiling was I couldn't see past it. So today I'm going to show you exactly what that ceiling looks like, the math behind that ceiling, and the model shift that finally helped me break through it. You see, when I launched my coaching business, it was great. I had clients, I had freedom, I had income, and for a while, it felt like everything that I wanted. But here is what nobody tells you when you start a one-on-one coaching business. To earn more, you have to take on more clients. And simply to take on more clients, you have to what? You have to give more time. And at some point, you will run out of hours in a day. And I definitely learned that the hard way. You see, I got to $50,000 a month from one-on-one coaching. And everyone around me had thought I had made it. From the outside looking in, it was successful, but I was giving every hour I had. I was giving my time. I was giving my resources, my energy. And frankly, there was absolutely no scale to it, period. And my coaching friends would ask me, Adam, when are you going to scale your business? And honestly, I had no idea how I was going to do that because I'd hit a ceiling and I honestly could not see past that ceiling. So what I had to do is I had to create an exact math problem. You see, I love to track, and I believe that the story lies inside of the data, and the data just tells a story. So here's what I did. I took my average monthly revenue divided by the hours that I was working in the coaching space. And what that gave me, that effectively gave me my hourly rate. Then I had to ask myself, how many clients do I truly want to work with based on my lifestyle, based on my resources, based on the energy I wanted to output, and based on the actual calendaring that I wanted to give to the coaching world. So in my case, at that point in time, I had roughly 35 coaching clients that were paying me on average about $1,500. Now, those 35 coaching clients, I'd give roughly about 45 minutes each week. And if you take that, that comes out to just a little under 20 hours a week. However, what I determined was, because Mondays and Fridays were my business days, working on my business, when I was in my business, I was working 7-hour days. And that was exhausting for me. Not because 7-hour days are hard, but here's the thing. You got to realize in one-on-one coaching, I was taught a long time ago from a master tennis pro. He said, Adam, if you have a 7 a.m. lesson and a 9 p.m. lesson, your job is to give those people the same amount of energy, the same amount of resources, the same amount of focus, period. So when I realized that, gosh, if I wanted to take on 40 clients, I would have to take on that number divided by the $1,500. And that was actually going to give me that hourly wage. And guess what? The more I took on, the lower that hourly wage got because I was giving time for money. And that to me was called my ceiling. But see, I knew at 35 clients that truly was my ceiling, period. That was the $50,000. Here was the challenge though. The honest answer for me was that enough? Was that really what I wanted? And the answer was no. And it wasn't because the money was small. It was because that model had no room for growth in it and no room for me to have a life. And here's what I had to learn the hard way that I want to help you guys not have to learn the hard way is it wasn't that I had a talent problem and it wasn't that I had a hustle problem. It was simply that I had a model problem. Loving on your clients and being trapped by a model are two completely different things. I loved every client that I worked with, and yet I was still trapped. And those two truths can exist in the same business at the same time. Loving your clients and not having a life. And here's the part that took me way too long to accept. The answer was never to work harder or to squeeze more money out of my clients or my day. The answer was I had to change my model completely. And once I understood that it wasn't a hustle problem, it wasn't a talent problem, it actually wasn't a client problem, that it was the ceiling was a model problem, everything opened up. But the shift was simple and actually hard to do though, because you have to move from trading your time for money to building leverage into how you deliver value. And I'll say that again, trading your time for money to understanding how to deliver your value in a leveraged space. Now, that can look in many different ways. You can do it in group coaching ways, you can do it through communities, you can do it through master classes, you can do it through challenges, you can do it through intensives, where you can serve what I like to call a one-to-many approach. And the idea there is that your program delivers your framework without you having to be in every single session. I call this your process. And when you understand what your process is, now you actually have a scalable approach. Because here's what that can look like, almost like a hybrid model. And once you understand that process, I want you to think of the process as like your book or like your manual. And the neat part about that is when you learn how to build the model around your process, your manual, now you can have one-on-one clients who want the whole thing. And you can also deliver that process in a one-to-many approach. But here's the kicker. When you learn how to deliver in a one-to-many approach, I've watched many coaches do this the wrong way. They'll say, great, I'm going to have 30 people jump onto a masterclass and I'm going to teach them my whole process. No. That's the wrong approach. That's the wrong model. What you need to do is you need to understand how you have a process. And that process is, let's say it's an A through Z approach. There are some people one-on-one that will pay you more money for the entire process. We call that process to a payoff. And then there are some that will want to be in a one-to-many approach that you only give them one chapter out of your entire process. That is the model that I had to learn to leverage myself. Because see, none of those, whether it's a masterclass, a challenge, a group coaching program, none of those models are better or worse than each other. What matters is this. Does your model let your income grow without your hours growing at the same time? I want what I'm getting ready to say right here hit home. If the answer to that question is no, then you have not built a business yet. Here's what you've built: a really well-paying job. When I was at $50,000 a month when one-on-one coaching, it was a job. And what I have built now is a scalable business that allows me to move freely in my life, with my time, with my energy, and my resources. Now, the challenge with that was that it took me 2 years to figure this out on my own. And in those 2 years, I literally kept hitting my head on a ceiling and trying to figure out what was broken. And that's what I had to realize wasn't me that was broken. It wasn't my clients that were broken. It was my model that was broken. And that's when I had to rebuild the whole thing. And once I rebuilt it, everything started growing, from the one-to-many approach to the one-on-one approach to a community. I've now built a coaching community that has served coaches on 4 different continents. I could not have done that with my one-on-one coaching. And the beauty of it was my time did not increase, though my income did. And truthfully, that's the entire game. That, though, is the difference between a business that owns you and you owning the business. So here's what I want to offer you. If you want to know if you've hit a ceiling, actually, you probably know if you've hit a ceiling. But if you want to go through an assessment that will actually uncover that ceiling for you, I built a free scorecard that tells you exactly where you stand right now with a scalable offer. It'll also show you, once you completed, whether your current model has room for scale. 15 questions, 5 categories, roughly 4 minutes of your time. That's all it'll take, and it will give you the outcome as it relates to the model that you should be building towards. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go take that scorecard. Go to ilovecoachingco.com/scorecard and go take the assessment. I'll put the link down in the notes below. So to end, here's what I really want to say is you don't have to wait 2 years like I did to figure this out, because the ceiling is real. You know if you're hitting a ceiling right now. And the simple thing to shift isn't the client, isn't you, it is your model. And a model shift is real. So here's what I want you to go find your model. Go find the model that works for you to be able to scale your business. And if you like this, subscribe for more. See you next time.